Welcome to Kunzy Podcast English, where your journey to mastering English begins right at your own home. Have you ever wondered if there's a way to learn English effectively without teachers, expensive courses, or the perfect native environment? Today, we're going to explore the secret of Learn English Step by Step at Home, a simple but incredibly effective way to learn English one step at a time, right in your familiar space. Hold on to your curiosity and don't take your eyes off the screen, because these secrets might just completely change how you approach this language. The journey begins with a tiny belief. Have you ever seen someone speak English fluently, confidently holding a conversation with a foreigner, and then sighed to yourself, thinking, I could never do that? The person in this story was once just like you, an ordinary individual, not naturally gifted, with no strong starting point. They had failed many times, so much so that giving up seemed like the easiest way out. But in the darkest corner of their discouragement, something quietly sparked. And that small flicker changed everything. They didn't begin with a perfect study plan. No native teachers, no expensive courses. They only had one thing, a small belief. A belief that if they just learned a little every day, repeated one sentence, dared to make mistakes, but never dared to quit, then maybe, just maybe, they could change their future. Sounds surprising, right? Most people think that to be good at English, you have to be good from the start. But this person discovered something powerful in its simplicity. You don't need to be great to start. You just need to start to become great. They began with the smallest steps. A YouTube video on pronunciation, a short, easy podcast, a notebook with just a few new words a day. And little by little, those tiny efforts added up. Like seeds planted in dry, cracked soil, they took root and began to grow, silently but steadily. There were no fireworks, no applause, just one person, alone in a small room, quietly repeating English sounds, phrases, and sentences, with nothing but patience and the belief that someday they would be different. And here's the truth. Every great journey begins with one small belief. So if today you feel lost, if you feel like you're not fast enough, not smart enough, not ready enough, remember this. You are not alone. Someone just like you once began, with no advantages, just a belief. And that belief changed everything. So now the question is, why not you? Repetition. The silent power of progress. Have you ever wondered why many people struggle to improve their English despite spending so much time learning? Is it because they lack intelligence? Or because they aren't hardworking enough? The answer is actually simple. Not everyone is willing to accept it. It's because they haven't tapped into the magical power of repetition. Our main character was no different. At first, they didn't have a quick memory, a huge vocabulary, or outstanding listening skills. But what made the difference was how they turned every day into a continuous cycle of listening, repeating, and practicing without stopping. They didn't choose to learn something once and forget it, nor did they try to cram knowledge all at once. Instead, they focused on short, simple passages, like small building blocks laying a strong foundation. Each day, they spent just a little time repeating those simple sentences aloud in their own voice. Surprisingly, progress didn't come immediately, but happened quietly, little by little, like water slowly carving through stone, day after day, wearing down the hardness of a new language. They didn't race for speed, but ran a marathon of patience, building the habit of consistent daily effort. Do you know? The power of repetition isn't just about memorizing vocabulary or sentence structures. It also helps your brain create familiar pathways, making English a natural part of your thoughts and speech. It's this steady persistence that brings deep transformation, even if you don't notice it at first. And the most special thing, the more you repeat, the more familiar it becomes, and familiarity gradually erases fear and hesitation, helping you confidently step forward and use English as a second language, not as a barrier anymore. Remember, learning English isn't a sprint. It's like a small stream flowing endlessly. Even if you don't see immediate changes, that stream will eventually create a vast valley of success. So, are you ready to start this journey of repetition? Don't give up before seeing results, because the true power of progress lies in your persistence to come back, listen again, repeat again, and speak again, every day, little by little, until English becomes your indispensable companion in life. Learning for yourself, not for scores. Have you ever stopped to wonder if those hours you spend learning English every day are truly for yourself? Or are they just for grades, for exams, for others' approval? The story of our main character will make you see your entire learning journey in a completely new light. Deep, emotional, and gripping from the very first moment. At first, they were like so many others, drowning in textbooks, battling through tough exams, racing for high marks, trying to impress teachers and peers. But then came moments of exhaustion, confusion, and sometimes overwhelming disappointment. Why am I learning? What is this all for? These questions haunted them, sinking them into emptiness and frustration, draining the joy and meaning from learning. Then one day, in a quiet moment of reflection, they stopped and asked themselves, why am I really learning English? Not to pass a test, not to chase perfect scores, not to earn admiration, but to open doors to life, to communicate and connect with the vast world beyond, to understand stories and people they had never reached before. That simple question lit a bright flame inside, a fire that couldn't be extinguished, a flame of passion, of freedom, of the desire to take control of their life and shape their future on their own terms. They began learning not for anyone else, but purely for themselves. Every minute with a book, every time repeating an English phrase, every new word learned became more meaningful and precious than ever before. Motivation was no longer about numbers on a grade sheet. It was an inner strength, a power born from self-awareness, yearning for freedom, and the wish to become the best version of themselves. A motivation steady and unshaken by hardships or challenges. Because when you learn for yourself, you don't just cope, you change your life. And here's the biggest secret. When you learn English for yourself, you are never alone. You find joy in every small step, strength in every stumble, and most importantly, you never want to give up. You don't just study, you live an inspiring journey, one that discovers yourself, breaks all limits, and builds a future fully in your control. So, are you ready to ask yourself the most important question? Are you ready to learn English not just with your mind, but with your heart, passion, and burning belief? If your answer is yes, then keep moving forward, because the real journey is just beginning. Reading and listening, the bridge to thinking in English. Have you ever wondered how people can not only speak English fluently, but also think and feel in English? It's not something that happens overnight, but a gradual process, a journey that seeps deeply into your mind. And the key to that journey is reading. Reading isn't just for entertainment. Nor is it just for memorizing vocabulary. It's how you immerse yourself in a new world, a world where English becomes a natural, vibrant language, just like your mother tongue. The main character in our story also started with small but determined steps. They chose colorful comics with simple stories, short stories that weren't too complicated, and English blogs written in familiar, easy-to-understand language. At first, they read very slowly, only a few sentences a day, sometimes rereading many times because they didn't fully understand. But it was that persistence and consistency that opened a crucial door. What's special is that they didn't just read superficially, but always carried an English dictionary with them. Not to look up every single word mechanically, but to deeply understand how words are used in different contexts, making vocabulary learning much more natural and effective. Every new word was no longer a dry piece of knowledge, but became part of the story, part of the world they were exploring. Thanks to daily reading, they began to sense the rhythm, expressions, and subtle nuances in English that only true immersion can grasp. The feeling of being overwhelmed or pressured faded away, replaced by excitement and curiosity to understand more and use the language as a natural part of themselves. The greatest lesson from this chapter is reading is the magical bridge that connects you to thinking in English. When you spend time reading more, you don't just learn how to speak or write, you learn how to think in English. Gradually, this language stops being something external and becomes part of your mind, helping you gain confidence in communication, understand the culture and mindset of native speakers, and broaden your worldview. Can you imagine? One day, when you sit and think, ideas will appear in your head in English, and you won't have to translate every word in your mind anymore. That is the greatest success in the journey of learning English. Learning to think, to live with the language naturally and profoundly. So start today by reading a page of a comic, a blog paragraph, or a short English story. Even a little bit counts. It's the first step in building the bridge that leads you to the vast world of English, a world you can completely conquer if you stay persistent and keep the faith. Read not only to learn, but to feel, to live with English every day. Speaking to yourself, the most effective free classroom. Did you know that on the journey to learn English, there's nothing more valuable than a classroom you can open anytime, anywhere, completely free? That is the ability to speak to yourself and practice without needing anyone by your side or waiting for someone's help. Our main character started by imagining the most familiar everyday situations. Going to the supermarket, chatting with friends, asking for directions while traveling. Not only listening and understanding, they actively turned those moments into a small stage for practicing speaking, playing roles, having conversations with themselves. They stood in front of the mirror, looked themselves in the eye, asked and answered in English, telling stories from real life or imagination, as if talking to a close friend. At first, of course, shyness and fear of making mistakes always lingered. Their English pronunciation wasn't perfect. Sentences were jumbled, and they made many mistakes that almost made them want to give up. But what made them different was their persistent determination. Every day, even just a few minutes, they still came back in front of the mirror, challenged themselves to speak, and acknowledged every small progress. Over time, their English-speaking reflex became more flexible and natural. They no longer had to think too long before uttering a sentence, but gradually felt the flow of the language moving through their mind and mouth. English was no longer a frightening challenge, but became a part of their daily life. The strongest message the character learned was, you don't need a teacher beside you to start practicing speaking. You are the teacher, the best companion on your path to mastering English. Be confident to stand in front of the mirror, create your own speaking environment, and keep practicing. Strength and progress always come from you, no one else. Are you ready to step in this special classroom? Try it today and you will be amazed at the magical change you can create by yourself. Using technology as your learning companion. In the digital age, the phone is no longer just a tool for entertainment, but a gateway to endless learning opportunities. Our main character decided to turn their familiar phone into a constant teacher on their journey to master English. The very first step they took was switching their phone's language entirely to English. A simple change, but one that created a continuous learning environment, allowing them to be exposed to English anytime and anywhere, even in daily habits they had never considered before. But they didn't stop there. They actively downloaded apps to practice listening, speaking, vocabulary, and reading comprehension. Every day, they spent a few minutes honing their skills through these apps. Their learning wasn't mechanical. They paid close attention to every detail, from pronunciation to the native speaker's intonation, striving to understand and imitate as accurately as possible. They also recorded their own voice, listening repeatedly, comparing it to the original, identifying mistakes, and patiently correcting them step by step. Our character understood that not everyone has long stretches of time for formal study each day. However, instead of ignoring small moments, like riding the bus, waiting in line, or taking breaks at work, they seized every minute to practice English. It might be listening to a short conversation, repeating simple sentences, or just reviewing new words. This consistent effort, even if only a few minutes daily, made a huge difference over time. The most special thing is that when technology is used correctly, it stops being a distraction or time waster and becomes a powerful tool that helps learners immerse themselves continuously in the language. The lesson from this journey is clear. Your phone isn't just for entertainment or socializing. If you use it wisely, it can become the most effective mobile English classroom, ready to support you anytime, anywhere. So, do you dare to turn your familiar phone into your personal tutor? Are you ready to turn every dead moment into a new step forward on your English journey? If your answer is yes, start today. Don't wait until tomorrow. Turning your home into an English environment. The secret in overlooked corners. Did you know that right inside your own home, you can create a vibrant English learning environment without needing to go to a center or spend a fortune on courses? The story of our main character will surprise you. They didn't just learn English. They transformed even the smallest details in their house into powerful tools to deeply embed English into their subconscious. From small sticky notes on the bathroom mirror, fridge door, to the study desk, every new word and phrase appeared as an unavoidable reminder. Every time their eyes landed on them, their brain felt activated, encouraged to memorize and practice. Not only that, they developed a strange but extremely effective habit. Every morning upon waking, they spent a few minutes loudly reading an English sentence, as if waking themselves up and sending a secret message to their mind that today would be a day for English. Imagine this. Instead of wasting time on pointless entertainment, they turned moments like cooking or washing dishes, seemingly meaningless times, into golden hours to listen to English podcasts. Those stories and voices from afar weren't just sounds. They were pieces forming a vivid language world right inside their home. The biggest lesson? You don't need to go far or spend a lot to make English your best friend. Your own home, if used wisely, can become the most special classroom where language slowly seeps into every breath of your life. Are you ready to break the limits and turn your familiar space into a major turning point in your English journey? Learning at home, progressing beyond even the most expensive study abroad. Have you ever thought that to master English, you must attend prestigious centers, have native teachers, or even study abroad? The story of our main character will completely change your mind. They didn't go anywhere, had no fancy classes, no teachers guiding them every day, yet every single day they saw themselves improving. Not just ordinary progress, but remarkable progress that would surprise anyone. The magic lies in their proactive and disciplined learning spirit. They never once blamed their circumstances or complained about lacking resources, lacking guidance, or not having an ideal international environment. Instead, they built their own personal learning system, created their own discipline, and made studying an indispensable part of daily life. Learning at home doesn't mean being limited. On the contrary, it's where they found the greatest freedom and creativity. They could customize their learning style, focus on their strengths, utilize abundant online resources, apply technology, and make use of every single moment in the day to improve. Did you know that the most successful people in the world don't always have the best conditions? They are the ones with relentless fighting spirit and perseverance. And our main character is living proof of that. The deep message here is, where you study doesn't determine how far you'll go. It's your inner spirit and determination that hold the key to unlocking every door. You can absolutely master English if you truly want to. Start your journey today and never give up, no matter how tough it gets. Are you ready to break your own limits and turn your home into the greatest school? Because this is not just about learning English anymore. It's a journey to change your life. Anyone can become proficient in English. No money, no teacher, no perfect environment needed. Have you ever thought that to become good at English, you need money, expensive language centers, native teachers, or to live in an English-speaking environment? If you think that way, then that is the invisible barrier holding you back from getting closer to your dream of mastering English. But the truth is, none of these factors are prerequisites for your success. Belief is the key. The belief that you can do it, that you can make English a natural part of your life. A small belief, but powerful enough to push you to start your journey, even if it may be a long and challenging one. Imagine an ordinary person who has never known English before, has no extra finances for expensive courses, and no teachers by their side. What does that person have? Only the will. I will learn English. And that person starts by learning little by little, by listening to one sentence, reading a short passage, speaking a sentence, and then repeating it daily, weekly. Success doesn't come overnight or by luck. It comes from persistent effort. When you study every day, even if only 5 or 10 minutes, progress accumulates. You may not see it immediately, but over time, you will realize how far you've come. Another crucial factor is the right mindset. Many people learn English focusing on scores, perfection right away. They fear making mistakes, fear being laughed at, or bothering others when speaking. But the truth is, learning a language is not about passing tests or pleasing anyone. It's about communicating, expanding your worldview, and opening more opportunities in work and life. When you learn for yourself, for your own dreams and future, motivation becomes stronger and more sustainable than any external pressure. You won't easily give up, even when facing difficulties, because you know exactly why you are learning and that this journey is yours to decide. Moreover, you don't need to wait for the perfect environment to start learning. Many miss opportunities by waiting for perfect conditions. A good center, a native teacher, a study abroad trip, or an English-speaking environment around them. But in reality, that environment may or may not come, and often you have no control over it. Instead of waiting, create your own environment. You can turn your home into an English practice space every day by sticking new vocabulary on your mirror, fridge, or study desk. Playing English podcasts while cooking or washing dishes. Practicing speaking in front of the mirror, or using English learning apps on your phone whenever you have free moments. Your smartphone is your most powerful companion if you know how to use it. You can listen to music, watch movies, learn vocabulary, and practice listening and speaking anytime, anywhere. Using dead time, like riding the bus, waiting in line, or standing around, to study in small chunks can help you progress faster than most people. Here's the secret. English doesn't choose the smartest or fastest learner. It chooses the person who never gives up. You don't have to be the most intelligent or talented. You only need to be the one who persists and is determined to move forward day by day. At first, you may feel bored, tired, or progress slowly. But remember, everyone who succeeds has gone through these moments. These are challenges to test your willpower and patience. Once you get through them, the reward ahead will be huge steps forward, confident communication skills, and new life and career opportunities you never dreamed possible. Learning English is a journey of independence, self-discipline, and self-motivation. You will learn how to stand up after falling, how to correct mistakes, and improve every day. You will feel the joy of understanding an English story on your own, communicating with foreigners confidently, and especially expanding your world through this new language. The precious lesson to remember is, no condition can stop you. Only you create limits for yourself. When you have belief, act regularly and persistently, you will go further than you ever imagined. Finally, I want to send my sincere thanks to you who have taken the time to listen to this story and message. Remember, you are not alone on this journey, and every step you take contributes to your success. If you find this story and lesson helpful, don't hesitate to hit like, share to spread inspiration to more people, and subscribe to not miss valuable lessons ahead. Start today. Believe in yourself. Repeat every day. Take action, and you will conquer English along with your dreams. English is not just a language. It's a door to a vast world. And you, yes you, can walk through that door anytime you want.